June the 30th, 2022, and I am just gonna start one with this news here. He never managed to go beyond his satanic character. Father no longer wants to see me according to mother. Mother stated me prefers her. Well, I have published this on the May the 26th, 2022. You can go over and you can read this. It's about my father's life, what he was to me, what he will continue to be to me. Nothing other than what you see here, unless he's going to give a really good explanation about why he did what he did. Then we're going to see this from a different perspective. Till then, that's all there is for him. There is nothing other than what you see here. Further, it goes the same to my mother. My mother is completely indifferent from my father. She's probably more satanic than what he is. What I mean foremost when I stated this, I am referring to this here, this post I have posted just yesterday. Criminally insane, mentally ill mother placed can in a hallway. Just police officer who brought me and my mother home during MK Ultra in 2018 promised me what I'd do himself or would have mother to do on behalf of the Novo Mesto Police Director Janez Ogulin. This can, that kind of stuff, all kinds of stuff, is not of such issues to me. Well, what's a really issue to me, because I was not certain about who my mother was, is this thing here. More certain than this thing here, which is just the way, her way. That's exactly what she did. They tried to bail her out later on for this crime. They involved people who talked to me when I was drugged up, when they had me drugged up on the side. Indirectly, they talked with one another, whether she even knew about this. She said, of course she did knew about all this stuff. Of course she did knew about all this stuff. She was part of this stuff. She absolutely knew everything about this stuff. She made a decision long time ago to be this way. Until I get a complete explanation about why she was like this, why she have seen me like the patient that is in my father's room. And if it's not the patient who is in my father's room, they might have switched the man that is his look-alike. My mother met a patient in like this. We used to meet this man, we used to meet his wife. They are from area of Ljubljana. So till she explains, she doesn't explain this, because this here, she got nothing to explain. She completely failed. She's a failure in my life. That's what she foremost is. She is in my life, she's a failure. But at least, if she could explain what exactly went on in her view, from what she have seen, based on, and it goes the same for my father, based on the politicians, based on the police, which enforced the violence, based on Milan Kucan, based on Borut Pahor, based on Slovenian politicians. It goes the same for Lojze Peterle. It goes the same for Dmitry Rupel, for the politicians that got involved in this stuff, Janez Janša, and none of which held himself responsible enough to have that much compassion for me. They will come out and stop this crime. They would come out and give his account about basically what went on. Till then, she's gonna be just nothing other than what I selected here for my father. It goes the same way. It's totally identical. The police failed, court failed. These people don't even have a power to judge this case because they were involved. The Supreme Court from United States of America, just as the Supreme Court in Slovenia, completely failed. They covered up for the crime. For the politicians, they covered up. They created their own reality based on lies. People as such, the system as such, because I lost trust. Not only, of course, in the police, psychiatry, prosecutors, justice system, I should say. People like this will not have impact here on justice, as far as I'm concerned. And because I'm the one who lost 28 years of life on what I stated, I will be the ultimate judge of this. And so I judge until my father, until my mother. Now they are old. Yeah, they are old. But they are also not teenagers. They're past 16. They're past 18. When it comes to the US, they're past 21. There is got to be some form of responsibility. There is got to be some form of conscience in these people. Will be, till they give their account, till they tell exactly what went on. Held responsible and seen through my eyes in exactly the same way as a daughter of Joseph Fritzl have seen her parents. Till I get account, detailed account from these two who assisted police, who assisted psychiatry to give the justice system, judiciary system, the power to take complete control over me, destroy me my life, rip my life apart. These two are not innocent. They must prove to be innocent, or they must be charged with exactly the same crimes as Joseph Fritzl was. Now, if the explanation can fit criteria that will satisfy my understandings about what went on, then, as far as I'm concerned, they can be let free too. For me, the paramount issue here is to know who the fuck I live with. For me, a paramount issue is to understand from their words, from their explanation on how they view themselves in this world, what is normal and what is not normal for them. Until then, guilty as charged, exactly as I stated right here, right now. Guilty as charged, guilty exactly as I stated right there. I didn't know how to start this video, but it was William, it was Harry, who went through everything I did, all my hard drives, everything, all the news media where I participated in the forums, the news I published from, and so on and so forth. And they gave me certain news outlets. They told me, I don't even browse this one. We're gonna give you indirectly tips on what to do, how to view things, so that you can avoid trouble or warn you when it's gonna something is gonna happen and this and that and so on and so forth. Basically, engage me in schizophrenic thinking, in a paranoia. Not engage me in paranoia, not engage me really in a schizophrenic thinking, but portray me, yes, with what I was labeled with in 2013. 100% thanks to the Buckingham Palace. It was the Buckingham Palace who did this. It was Prince Charles, it was Prince Andrew, it was Queen Elizabeth, it was Prince William, it was Prince Harry who did this shit to me. They did this to me. Rather than pay so they could look good, their promise in 1996 when they participated this stuff, we'll give you $50 billion. Britain alone is going to give you that much. And they started to create the entrepreneurs like Musk, Bezos, the whole palette of this new multi-billionaires. And they did so next to what I distributed. And once, when one hand they use me to redistribute hatred, they use me to redistribute competition, if you want. They use me to redistribute war, to steer the shit which they made me steer. They were the one that created. They brought me from Miami here. They did this stuff. They needed this kind of environment, and to not look as shitty as they should look in the eyes of the world. They started to do two things. One was they threw on the table $50 billion in case I can prove the existence of case MK Ultra. And then they did the second thing. They started to build the best relationship possible with the psychiatric, or I should say through the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje. You see, they played double razor. They threw $50 billion. Britain did alone. Britain alone. We're talking about the Britain here. So that they wouldn't look cheap. So they could bring people from Hollywood. They could bring everyone I have mentioned to piss off Eastern Europeans foremost, Serbs, Russians that wanted to govern in Poland, in Ukraine, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Slovenia. They wanted to behave here like a masters, despite the fall of the Soviet Union and despite the separation of Greater Serbia known as Yugoslavia with war in the Balkans, which Serbia launched against 4 countries engaged in ethnic cleansing. So this is the situation they created. And this here, this Boris Johnson you see here, this is their responsibility. Doing best possible they could to make me self-portray through the torture, this bandit that you see right there, torture me inside of this room, in front of the computer, teach me, interpret it to me on how to interpret myself this news. Force me through the situation to portray myself as what they have created in 2013, basically through the psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje. But this is the British way, ladies and gentlemen. This is a payback. The British. This is how the British do it. You see, the British do it better than anybody else. But I shouldn't toss my hopes away just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Britain, the land of hope and glory, is what this is. It's where Balmoral is located. You know the Balmoral? It's all about Jeffrey Epstein right now. Ah, thank you. It's all about Jeffrey Epstein right there. How they spent quality time at this place. This is in Scotland. This is in Great Britain, in United Kingdom located. This is where I was brought since 1995. After every torture session which British royals started systematically, I was brought to this place and where I would, as they said, recover, recuperate. And they had me wander this beautiful park here that you see right there. This Balmoral Park. This is right in the north of the Britain. And they also made sure, they almost made sure that I would not bump into Vladimir Putin and Medvedev, Russians who also hike this area. But this should be, according to Nicola Sturgeon, worth more than $50 billion after all. Because that's what I was taught. This is a politician I'm talking about. They would guarantee me, Scots would guarantee me a tranquility, a good life in Scotland. It will be all good. It will be all good. So based on 1996, when I think about that park right there, where I would be kept safe. It was about safety. And Andrew stated, others who went other ways, who parted other ways, they ended about that. This way or that way. I don't actually know what to say other, just as I stated. They were sure, they were just certain that when it comes to safety, I wouldn't bump into Vladimir Putin and Medvedev when they did their hiking in that area. But I can tell you that it wasn't once and it wasn't twice. They had them all over Britain. They had them in locations where they would bring me. Quite a few supposedly very private, the most private, the locations or the most, I remember that several locations like this that they should never know about, but they did know about. Yeah, Romanovs from London made bloody sure that KGB knew absolutely about all my whereabouts in Britain, so that I would go and buy that castle, that park. To be honest, not even Scotland I would not invest in. If the whole Scotland was for sale for 50 billion, I wouldn't buy. I wouldn't give away one fucking cent for the whole United Kingdom, because every time you open your mouth, there is nothing other than fucking lies that come out. That's all there is to it. But yeah, still, I keep to what I stated a few days ago. about this thing here, and I am not gonna change my view on Britain. I don't think that Scottish should burn Union Jack, and really when it comes to Ireland, since the island is the one that to get the European continent is a European Union member state. Uh, I think a very smart decision. It acts much more with much more competence, with a greater competence than so-called United Kingdom is. It's Ireland that still needs British Isle to get with their lorries to European continent. I don't think that you guys should be arguing with one another. Uh, for all of you's sake, because of what is out there, I still think you should work with one another, help one another. I am definitely not pushing anything down your throat in respect to the throne you have located over there in London. I don't fucking like one myself. But I think you people, you should work out somehow together. That's something you should. That's all I'm saying when it comes to you. This is your island, this is your life. It's not part of me and never ever will be. Beyond what I stated. If I can help you somehow, I will help you. I will do my best. But I stand firmly behind what I stated and will not change this absolutely in any way. What exactly did Johnson instigate here in would not talk about the politics is probably not difficult for you to understand in respect to my blog. It's quite evident, especially due to politicians meddling into this thing. This will be about politics too. This will not be only about MK Ultra proofs. And what is it now other than for me to explain what my situation is? Yesterday I was going to do the video. I didn't know how to do this video, what to do with it. But this thing here, I figure out it's a perfect opportunity. I figured out this would be a great opportunity. He said he would not start talking about politics at a time when he was dealing with the cost of living pressures and the war of Ukraine and this and that. They told me don't talk about politics, Ukraine. Job is what you need. Job, that kind of stuff. Your father, this and that. You mean my father? You mean my father? Yeah, my father. This is what they publish at Express, the UK, to remind me more about my father. They publish this thing. This is what they have published on this Father's Day. This was on June the 18th. They did a lot of news like this to remind me. See, the last Father's Day, they did everything possible to help me out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what exactly is my situation here? Well, my situation is such that psychiatrists, psychologists, British royals have stated me it's going to be such a situation that you might not even end up as normal. But it was more than one time like this. They have successfully used my father since return of Poland and my mother with idea to bring me on the brink of sanity since. Imagine to be blacklisted, fuck with your employment for 28 years. I bet many of you have not even done 28 years of work. Now imagine somebody is fucking with your sanity like this for 28 years. That should really be unpleasant. In a very short, what my situation is here. Father was used as a rocket, as a drone, as the deadliest tool possible in this tragic comedy to even block me from searching for employment, from obtaining employment. They have used local employers, they have used social services, they have used court, police to insist me to get father out of hospital, out of home for elderly people. They have portrayed me, in other words, his death in a way that would be just a procedure that would be completely unstoppable. And so whatever the fuck he would do, he's gonna get either death certificate or will be killed. But he will be killed because of you, because you try to persecute him. That's what this abuse was based upon. Being labeled as a paranoid schizophrenic, given a criminal record because of lies. It involves domestic violence in 2013. Having father who carelessly, deliberately does problems to himself. With mother, severely brainwashed, tortured under MK Ultra on how to see his issue to save him, but completely helplessly had to follow his steps to nowhere, to Balmoral Cottage, I suppose. Having to contact police, which instead investigators that ran crime against me would assist me. Going through the hospital, going through all these things, I don't really know what to tell you. In a country like this, in a situation like this, it's not about a country. It's a Supreme Court justices that were involved, state prosecutors that were involved, police, and new faces that appear that replaced old faces were involved in this MK Ultra for purpose to just pull the torture dots from MK Ultra same way, and for me to portray myself as not credible, as paranoid, as schizophrenic. I'm not gonna say that this is not nice. I left the comment here the other day that made me really feel like a shit, to be honest with you. It really made me feel like a shit. The video I have posted here is a state-of-the-art video, this stuff here. The red flag to Slovenian state in respect to the father's health. This is state-of-the-art, but I screw myself because of this thing here. Gutierrez, boss of United Nations, Antonio Guterres, boss at the World Health Organization, boss at the World Health Organization, Ghebreyesus, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, these two were involved since 1995 in this crime against me. And he was indifferent with the people from International Police Association. He was indifferent from officials at the European Court in Strasbourg, for Human Rights Court in Strasbourg. It was indifferent with Interpol officials. Now, I'm asking you, It's easy here. This is nice here. Yeah. He would not start talking about the politics. Maybe I shouldn't even talk about Ukraine, but I'm gonna ask you, why the fuck you got involved in this stuff? You needed me. You did this stuff to me. You ruined my life. You took absolutely no responsibility for it. You played two-edged sword, whatever it is. On one side, it was from Britain alone $50 billion on the table, and on the other hand, you played with a psychiatric hospital your game. How should I see this as? Because you gestured just like my mother, like my father did during MK Ultra. They brainwashed me with the police, with the psychiatry, with psychology, with thousands of people, on how it's gonna be the economy and the money, and you're not gonna get the money and this and that. So you fucking tell me, how should I possibly see this stuff? How should I perceive this kind of stuff? What is the idea about this? Now you explain me. You fucked me up 28 years of life. This is a funny thing. It's a funny thing. It's ridiculous. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke to destroy man's life. I know. I know it's a joke. I know it's a funny thing. I know it's a bloody funny thing. It's a tragic comedy. And what exactly determines the life, the value of life? This here, this, they are bigger, they are greater, they are magnificent. They are the one. They determine absolutely everything. And there is somebody else that determines absolutely everything, as my mother stated. I was gonna go and demonstrate you her lunacy about a plate for the grave that she placed on our family grave just about a month ago, dedicated to psychiatry. You know, this is a lunacy. You know, you're mentally ill. You're mentally sick. You people are mentally ill. You are mentally sick, but you can't be proven because you have the money, right? So it's the economy. You can afford to do stuff like this to people because you have cash, because you have money. And you can purchase the ethics. You can purchase the human rights organizations. You can purchase United Nations, just like you did Hollywood, just like you did hatred against me through Mike Tyson, who then spread, after he initially even accepted marriage to his daughter, who was actually used to steer racial problems and create, I should say, involve American human rights issues, Democrats, American Democrats, in this crime against me. This shit was planned, financed by the Buckingham Palace. Interpreted to me from Black Lives Matters, which engaged in a heavy racism and discrimination against me, along other communities in US, as a form of help and also ultimatum for me to be alive, to keep alive. Everything else, when it comes to human being, was a phony. It was a lie. It was a scam. I am quite disgusted with United Nations, with Amnesty International, with the people that under MK Ultra, without having any proofs in real time, in real life, claimed I was a racist. People who took the side of the money from London, people who absolutely knew everything about the Hollywood, absolutely knew everything about the world of sports, brought in this house from United States when negotiations started to take place. To me, as I was told, in support all the, I wouldn't call them heroes, but icons from the West that were in my head, from Top Gun, wrestlers, British Bulldogs. I have used them because of this British Union flag. Tyson and basketball players, Jordan and so on. All these people financed, given the ultimatum to participate in this, to get their movie roles, to get their contracts, to get their games, matches as a award, improve their careers. I should say lucrative contracts, lucrative offers for boxing matches, basketball games, and so on. Once it no longer was convenient for the Buckingham Palace, as it became so personal with the Serbs, with the Russians, that after they started to physically profile, after they started to facially profile, it didn't go into a culture, it didn't go only into a customs, it didn't go only into they wanted to know why we no longer wanted to be with them. And so their job was to portray me as rejective as possible. So that's exactly what they did. They started with the beatings in front of the partisan memorials, turning me against the National Liberation Front here in Slovenia. Took me for beatings to Russia, Belarus, and have systematically turned me against the rest of the world by involving also facial profiling, so that I would facially profile. On every challenge, I responded, and responded also with that one, which in reality did not match, because in real time I still dated Hispanic Latinas. I was married to South American wife from Ecuador, Indian, a real Indian, like those you see in Amazona. Like the people you see in Amazona, that's exactly what I was married to. Well, she was much older than myself. I dated black girls, I dated Asian girls, And so, what determines all this? What is this joke? What is this fun, this thrill about ruining someone's life? What this shit is all about? What have you accomplished with these lies? Through Mike Tyson, there was no black activist in the United States, or there was no black Hollywood, no black big screen, no black rapper, no black hip hopper, no black basketball player, sportsman that will go beyond covering up for him, which was used, you would say, I would even think it was used as an excuse for the Buckingham Palace to turn the table around, to step on the opposite side and take actions against me because of facing too many problems, because of me, because I rejected, because I shouldn't have rejected the help from United States of America. It was a help. It was a help from Britain. It was the help from West, bringing me in here, getting me beaten up, abused, tortured, deprived of sleep, drugged up yet deprived of rest, get sleep, submission into psychiatric hospitals, incarcerated in Russia, in Poland, in Ukraine too, Belarus, Serbia, Slovenia. What the fuck do you have out of all this stuff? What good is in it for you? What is in it for you? What is in it? Balmoral. What is in it? I'm trying to figure out your sanity inside of your head. What the fuck is in there? What is in there? What the fuck is in there? I think there is nothing. I think it's like that bunny energizer. I think that you twist that thing and it's just tick 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 and it's fucking going. I think there is nothing. I think that you're like a fucking fish. It's like a eye of the fish. You look. If you magnify one, there is nothing much in there. There is more in the eye of the fish than is in you people in Buckingham Palace. I think you're fucking shit. I think you're ultimate shit this world have ever seen. The worst. It was not about your survival. It was not about because you had to do something about this. It was just about getting the alibi. You didn't use Chinese, Asians, Turks, Pakistanis, Indian people in Britain only to torture. You paid them money to torture me also abroad there. They did not believe for a single fucking second I was a racist. This goes to you guys in Pakistan. It goes to you guys in India, in China. There were women I wanted to marry. In Turkey was the first country I selected, willing to commit myself. But it was not one. I wanted to know about the laws under MK Ultra. What kind of laws do they have? Can you marry more than one? The same like I did with the Croatia. I don't know how much I would be. In Islamic laws, you can marry more than one woman. I dated Chinese and I wanted to marry her too in the US in real time. Under MK Ultra, I just wanted to have as many as possible wives. He went the same for India. I just wanted to have a really good woman, the one I chose. Eventually, in India, they brought me to this man who had 50 wives. He had his little palace and 50 wives and stuff like this. That I would replace him. You guys did not believe for a fucking second I was a threat to you of any kind. But you did your part to cover up for lice. You did it for that other part, for that psychiatric hospital Ljubljana Polje. Because you felt uncomfortable. You felt uneasy about the shit you did. It's better to get rid of a man. It's better to get rid of a human. It's how you pay. Through your Black Lives Matters, through your minority issues. It's how US Democrats figure out they're gonna earn money. They wanted to get a piece of cake. The US alone compromised itself with a 250 billion. It must have been 99 when they did this. And so I had to be a racist, and I had to be as evil as possible, so that the Republicans and Putin could have their plan marching on. You see, in this game, there is more than one party evil. I don't have absolutely anything with what I even begun to promote because of these people. They were switching the table on every few years. They switched the table. They were one time on a Russian side, they were one time on Ukrainian side. As far as Ukrainians, I'm going to tell you, Polacks, if I wouldn't have done what I did already in the Czech Republic before the Russians, when I gave middle finger to the Russians for the sake of Skoda factory, Volkswagen, Skoda would be one of the factories over there in Russia instead. But it was not about this, it was about where was this, who are these people, who are you, and who are these people here. And so if you're Czech and this is a Czech Republic, what the fuck, if I repeat, do these people want? And that's all the hell I did. That's all I repeated throughout the Eastern Europe. Unwilling to submission myself on knees in front of Russians, unwilling to submission myself on knees in front of the Serbs, indicted war criminals in Slovenia. Yeah, and this is what the crime I am charged with. The one that is charging me with this crime eventually is United Nations, eventually is Interpol, it's International Police Association. This is basically the people that should take action. And when I posted that news the other day that I called them for help, assist them in respect to this case, man, I feel so shitty because I addressed my concerns to these people on so many occasions. And it was on so many occasions that I got nothing other than middle finger in my face. So I'm asking you, the world, what would you do in my case? What exactly would be your take in my situation here? I should not be talking about the politics. I shouldn't be talking about I should be dealing with the cost of living. This is very, very, uh, in my situation, it pertains to my situation, you must admit, easily you can do with a person to see, to portray himself as a paranoid schizophrenic in a situation as I am when it comes to the article like this. Yeah, and I'm glad I was capable to explain my situation. My situation is such that I was denied repeatedly employment upon my return from Poland in 2021. In 2021. In 2021, now it's 2022. At the end of the 2020, it goes to second year here in Slovenia. The interviews were used for me to identify people. The interviews were used to remind me of the torture inside in the vicinity of the city of the Novo Mesto. The applications I would send out, and were really sophisticated, were nothing other than waste of time. They did not fail to mention me how I should create introductory letters or improve the resume and all that kind of stuff. But that's what the fuck these people did not do in 2020 and 2021 when I was sending out resumes into fucking nowhere. They did this shit throughout the 28 years. I returned back in Slovenia in August of 2006. The same shit happened. The same shit happened when I returned back from Scandinavia in 2010. I wouldn't go in the United States of America, but I'm gonna say to you, it was over 30,000 job applications I sent out for nothing other than to be ignored. The cost of living pressure was actually used in Poland to push me into work, used during 12-hour shifts, rotating shifts, to break my spine, Mr. Johnson. I remember what you did to me in Poland? Do you remember the cost of living? Do you remember how you, Buckingham Palace, Prince Charles, Harry, William, Andrew, you have used my situation when I attempted to obtain political asylum, and I did one in more than a dozen countries. So explain to me what is so funny about this? What is so tragicomedic about this? What is it that gives you the right to treat people like this? Using my father as a drone. Using my mother. Use both as a remote controlled objects to hurt more, to inflict more psychological damage. What the fuck is so funny, Charles? Charlie, what is so funny? What is so funny, Charlie, about this? What is so funny about this? What is so funny? I identified more than 2,000 people probably. I would need a good crew of people that I would post all the fucking people I identified, people that eventually reported themselves. So what the fuck is so funny about this, Charlie? I want to know about this British sense of humor. I want to know about this stuff. You are so fucking sick. You are so fucking sick, mentally ill people, and violent, irresponsible, criminal, that you just go beyond imagination. And no, I did not lost track of my mind even a little bit. Father, mother will be charged. And that's exactly what you said. You're not going to get beyond father and mother. That's all you're going to do. Will be charged with exactly the same thing, worse than Joseph Fritzl was. Till proven, never will be proven as innocent in my eyes. But maybe innocent enough to let go, to live free. Until then, guilty as charged. As charged by me. As I stated, the police, the courts are subject to this matter. They are subject to my treatment, my judgment. I am the one who will prosecute these people. I'm the one who will withdraw charges if I deem necessary from people that exercise crime, tortured here. Physicians, doctors, psychiatrists, police, state prosecutors. It's actually not so funny, but it helps with the collateral murder. It helps to take the pressure down from Milan Kucan, from Borut Pahor. That's what it is. I just want you to understand what the fuck you are doing. Actually, what your chosen people in London are causing. What they have caused, it was a lot of people that suffered. And I just want you to understand you're never going to take responsibilities with your fucking dead rotten people. This is your culture. This is how you are. This is what you are. This is what you are made of. I get it. I understand that. But I want you to understand what your people have done over there in London. Who these people are. So it can be funny. That's all. That's why. So it can be funny. That's all. So it can be funny. That's all. Nothing personal.